Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a steamy, sweltering hot day here in South Africa. You can see there's lots of tracks all over the road for some big grey pachyderms, which we hopefully will find a little bit later. Now, my name is Tristan, and on camera I have got Sebastian, and it is a very warm welcome to all of you on this Saturday afternoon. I hope that you are going to enjoy the next hour as we take you on a ride through Africa from both here in South Africa and in Kenya. Now, remember, it is interactive, and so we want you to interact with us, and you can do so by asking your parents and guardians to send through any questions that you've got, and you can do that to Nat Geo Kids at wildebeest.tv. Now, I say it was warm. It's about 104 degrees or 40 degrees centigrade this afternoon, and it's cloudy and humid and very hot and sticky, and so that means that a lot of the animals probably are going to be moving towards some sort of water. Those clouds there are making it more humid than you can imagine. We haven't had any rain yet, but maybe a little bit later, but it really is very, very warm and uncomfortable, which means that you'll find that things like elephants, which these tracks are here, we're going to see going towards water, and this road takes us towards a waterhole, so we're going to follow that road, and hopefully we're going to find the ellies having a little bit of a drink. Most of the animals, though, will be trying to find somewhere where they can get some airflow, so a little bit of wind. So that's going to be in the cat's case, maybe up in a tree for a leopard or on a termite mound. A lot of the other animals will be under trees and close to water because they're going to be losing a lot of body heat during this process of being so hot. And no, Seb and I are losing a lot of moisture just by sweating because it's so hot out here. Now, there is something walking down the road. Don't go away. It's just gone away from us now. I'm hoping it will pop back out now that I've turned off. But there was a francolin that was moving around there, which is a type of bird, but it, alas, has moved off and run into the long grass. So anyway, we're going to head off back down the road. In the meantime, though, I'm going to send you all the way up to Kenya with Isaac so he can say good afternoon to all of you.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Masai Mara, the Mara Triangle. My names are Isaac. And my cameraman Achi. This afternoon, we just came across ahead of a journey of giraffes. We are live and direct from the Masai Mara. These giraffes, we saw them from a distance, way back from camp, and we decided to come down here. In here, there is water, but we cannot see it. That's why they're here. Kids, in case you need to ask questions, use our hashtag NatHub at Geo Kids at wildebeest.tv. Through your parents, you can ask us any questions. Any questions and comments are very welcome. We are live. These two looks like they've had enough of water and now they are resting. This is our most common giraffe we find in Kenya. It's called the Maasai giraffe. The little one is trying to suckle. He looks like he's about 6 months, so he's still very dependent on his mother's milk. Mommy doesn't want to give him some milk. Maybe she hasn't eaten enough, so she hasn't produced much milk. But very cute. He's begging for some milk. Mommy needs some milk. You can tell even the lips, licking them, really want some milk. Right now, it is eating lots of leaves, but at the same time, it needs lots of milk. I'm not sure if he knows whose mom is because he's trying to suckle from another female. Do you see that, kids? He went around to the other female. These females have been standing here. The water is too far down, and they've been trying to drink. Giraffes have got a very big difficulty when drinking, because their necks when standing are the tallest, but when they want to drink, they are the shortest. They have to splay their legs and reach for water. This makes them very, very vulnerable, because if a lion comes, it will take them, and that's why they can't stay down for very long. Over here, you can tell they've been moving from one spot to another, trying to have a drink. There is some two birds you see on the giraffe's neck. Those are called oxpeckers, and they clean the giraffe of ticks and other mites so they don't get diseases and also get sick. See that? Nice. That's how widespread they have to spread their legs for them to be able to drink. President, the ossicons, which are horns, they call them horns, but they are not true horns. They are used for fighting in males, and they are much thicker in males than in females. In fact, males have got a third one that grows in between the two and almost slightly forwards, not parallel to the two. They are used for fighting, a fight called necking, and you can't tell between a female and a male by looking at the top of the ossicons. Ossicons of a female have those hairy tufts, and ossicons of a male lack those because they wear them out when fighting, so they are left bare after some time. This one is chewing whatever she's been eating the whole morning. Giraffes browse quite a lot, and then after filling up their first stomach, they have 4 stomachs, they regurgitate it so that they can chew it properly, then take it back to the other 3 stomachs. They have 4 stomachs. They have the obasum, reticulum, and the last one is obasum, reticulum, and rumen. Okay, as we continue enjoying these elephants, we link you back to Jamie with some elephants.
Oh, this is absolutely awesome. Elephants everywhere. We have elephants up in Kenya, and we also have elephants here on Djuma, which of course is in South Africa, where I'm sure that Tristan has told you that it's very, very hot. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon Craig is on camera with me, also known as Batman. And this is actually the elephant herd that Tristan was tracking earlier. So I don't want to steal them out from under his feet, but we just happened to get lucky. We came driving along here and we bumped into them. We are actually searching for leopards this afternoon. There apparently were tracks around this area, so we just thought we'd come and check all the water holes that are around here. There's a lot of little puddles where a lot of the animals like to come and rest and come and drink. After that, we will be going to look at some lions. So we've got lots of exciting things planned, not to give too much away, but for now I'm hoping that these Ellies are going to go towards the water to have a little bit of a bath, because it is, as Tristan has told you, quite warm and sweaty. Apparently it's 40 degrees centigrade, so over 100 Fahrenheit, but apparently the real feel with the humidity, so in other words how hot it actually feels, is around about 50 degrees centigrade. That is, of course, according to the weather apps. Oh, look at this little one. I'm feeling very guilty. I know that this was exactly what Tristan was after, so if he wants to come along and join us, he is more than welcome to. We can move on and leave him to it, because I know that, just like me, he was thinking how nice it would be to have elephants mud bathing on a hot afternoon. So look at the way they're using their trunks to draw water up. Basically what they do, it's kind of like a straw, just not quite, because they don't like to drink through their noses. It would be like getting water up your nose, which is not what they really like. So what they're doing is they're sort of sucking the water up but keeping it in their trunk and then blowing out really hard and spraying themselves and covering themselves with water across their head. So that means that they can get the water and the mud all the way to the tops of their backs. Are you having fun there? Look at the little baby elephant flapping its trunk around. It hasn't quite got the habits or the technique that the older ones do. I'm just going to be quiet for a moment so you can hear this. having the best time. Can you hear them splashing? One giant elephant pool party. Absolutely awesome. Now, elephants love water. They really, really love water, and they can swim surprisingly well for something that big. So even the little ones are capable of swimming from a very young age, and they often do it in summer when they can. When there's a nice big body of water, a big lake, or a big dam, that we call it, a big waterhole. And what they do is they go all the way in, and they use their trunk to breathe, so they can go right under the water, and you can see just the trunk of the elephant sticking out. They love swimming. This little teenager, little gangly baby, not teenager but baby, but it's quite long. It's a very long-legged elephant. This is so cute. What are you doing? You have definitely not got this technique down. Trying to get underneath its chin. There's water going everywhere but where the elephant wants it to go. Oh, now you're going to drink some. Now that's not going to be nice, because now you've made it all muddy and sandy. That one over there is using its foot. Much more sophisticated technique, but of course it helps when your feet are double that size. Hey, ladies. If you listen really carefully, you can hear them giving off a very deep rumble. That's the way that elephants talk to each other. So they communicate with those low rumbles. They can make a lot of different sounds. They can make a trumpeting sound, and they can make a sort of a squealing, screaming sound. But those low rumbles are the main forms of communication between the herd members. So the herds are led by the big females, the larger, older females, and they tell all the rest of the elephants where to go. Hello. Hello. Come and say hello. Oh, this little baby elephant, it lost its nerve. Just sneaking up on the side of us with its ears out and its trunk up. It was coming to investigate what we were doing, but now it's gone back and run around towards the pool. I can't remember what I was talking about. Females telling the elephants where to go, that's right. So they will rumble like that, and it's usually a sign for all the elephants to regroup, or perhaps to say move out of the way, like for this big female who's come down to the largest of the puddles to come and have a drink. I think she's going to find herself quite upset though, because the other elephants that have been swimming in it have made it all muddy and dirty, so it's not going to be very nice for her to drink. And elephants are quite fussy when it comes to water. They actually prefer to drink nice, clean water. Hi, big girl. Awesome. She's talking to us. Well, she's not talking to us. She's talking to the herd. She's telling them it's time to finish your pool party and move off and move away. She's calling them. Now you'll notice that there's a pole in the view every now and again. Look, see how they're following her? See all the babies coming? It's just because it looks like it might rain this afternoon, so we've put a roof on. So don't mind that. See now? All of them following along behind the big female. There's another big female over there, the one with only one tusk. She is another female that will help to keep the herd safe, to make sure none of the youngsters are left behind. So it's always the older ladies that keep the herd protected and make decisions. Here come the naughty ones. Trouble. Lots of little babies in this herd, which is wonderful for them because it means that they've got company. Oh, she's going to stop and feed right next to us. Or these two might come up to us because they've got each other for confidence. Hello, you. Yes. Are you cute? Are you cute? You don't want to come say hello today? That's okay. Little trunks. I love being in the company of elephants. They are definitely one of the nicest animals to spend time with. They're so relaxing. I find that they are really soothing. Alrighty. Lots and lots of big animals out today. I know Tristan was looking for these elephants and we beat him to it accidentally, but he's managed to find something else, not quite as large, but nearly.
There are lots and lots of big animals. Unfortunately, our buffalo are about to disappear in a thicket, and we're not going to be able to follow them too much. You can see that one is limping quite badly, and it's got lots and lots of scratches all over its back and its bum, and those would have been from lions. So that's where lions have tried to catch this buffalo in the last few weeks and have hurt it. And so it's going to be very, very vulnerable now, and that's going to make lions, if they come across this buffalo, will try and go after it once again. Oh, it's going to go to the toilet. Oopsie. So sometimes they do go to the toilet. Buffalo defecate a lot because they'll eat a lot as well, and being big animals, they go to often. And you'll find this time of the year, their dung is quite loose. It's unfortunately from all the moisture from the grass. You'll get a lot of kind of loose dung that comes up. But you can see the oxpecker that is there. Now that's a type of bird called an red-billed oxpecker, and these guys are what's called a ciguinivore. Now I know that's a very difficult word to say, but ciguinivores essentially feed off blood. So not only will they eat parasites that are on the buffalo and they help the buffalo, but sometimes when buffaloes have cuts like this one has, you'll find that they will dig in there and they will actually open the cut up to make sure that the buffalo starts to bleed, and then they'll drink that blood, be able to feed off it, which is irritating for the buffalo. You can imagine how sore that poor buffalo is after being bitten and clawed by lions, and it now has a bird that's actually opening up those wounds. Imagine having a cut on you and then you had a bird that came and pecked in your cut. It wouldn't be very pleasant at all. Now the only thing that's good about this buffalo situation that we have here is that there's actually more than just one. So this guy would be safe in some regards because the other might help defend it. You'll find with buffalo bulls, when lions attack them, they'll often come together to try and defend each other and to try and keep the lions at bay. And if it was on its own, it would almost be probably a very good death sentence if there was a lot of lions around. I'm just going to move slightly so we can try and get a better view of them. They are going behind us now. Now the other two buffalo are not as relaxed as the one that's a bit injured, and that's probably due to the fact that he is injured. He doesn't want to move around nearly as much, but you can see the other two kind of watch us, and then they try and kind of move all the time. They're very alert, and if that one was attacked by lions and they saw it, that's why they would be alert. You see, look how it's trying to smell us. So those big nostrils are sucking air in, trying to sniff and trying to see if there is any sort of sign of potential danger. And as soon as they smell the vehicle, then they will realize that we're not a threat, as long as they don't smell things like lions. Otherwise, they'll get quite grumpy. Now, that male there, you noticed he was kind of pushing his head up against a tree, and on top of his horns, you'll see that there's a little bit of color. See that there? So those reds that you see are actually from the trees itself, and they'll do this for two reasons. One is that it will keep those horns in good condition. This red substance is from a cambium layer and is full of tannins, and tannins deter insects from laying their larvae in their horns and damaging their horns. The thing that it does is that it will basically cause a sort of accentuate the size of the horn, so it'll make those horns look more impressive and bigger, so if they come across any girl buffalo, that they're able to then know exactly, the girl buffalo can see the horns and see, okay, these are big males and they are good males to start a family with. So that's why they will do it quite regularly, and you often see lots of red and greens in their horns. They also use the trees as a scratching post, so this one is now just probably having a really good scratch. They were wallowing in some water when we first found them, and that sometimes will happen once they've wallowed. They get a bit of mud on them, and then they'll actually go and scratch a little bit. Linda, you say, wow, you didn't know that? Yes, it's quite a cool little thing, and nice to kind of talk about, because often with buffalo, then we talk about how dangerous they are, and we talk about the fact that lions hunt them, but their horns are a huge part of their whole kind of attitude that they have. They are big animals, but they have to defend themselves, and so horns are vitally important. And if the horns are in bad condition, well, then they're going to have a problem. They're not going to be able to defend themselves nicely, and they're going to be attacked far more than by things like lions. And so they need to have those horns kept sort of in a good state, and that they're not breaking and chipping. Also, if they're going to fight with other male buffalo for a female or for a girl, then they're going to need nice horns as well. Right, now often you'll find, I said these guys were wallowing in some water, but then once they're done, they'll go off feeding. But Ellies, that you saw with Jamie, who were having a good time at the waterhole, well, they do something quite special once they are finished bathing.
All right, so while Tristan's buffalo wander off to go feeding, we are sitting with our herd of elephants still, and they are, now that they've finished having a swim, or at least a mud bath, they are now enjoying a sand bath. So this is very typical behavior of elephants at this time of day, in this time of year. So once they have coated themselves with water, then they go and throw dry sand across their backs. Now, there's a couple of different reasons why they do that. One is to protect their skin from the harshness of the sun, but already their skin is pretty tough. It also helps to get rid of insects, so something that perhaps might be bothering them, like a tick. Okay, a tick was not a good example because it's not an insect, but anything that might be crawling around on their skin, causing itchiness and discomfort, the sand acts as a way of sort of scratching it. It also seeps into the cracks or the wrinkles of their skin so that it stays damp for longer and then dries out slowly, which helps to cool them down even after they've walked away from the water. And I think they do it personally just because it feels nice. I think it's just something that they really enjoy. I think it's the equivalent of after a long day coming home and perhaps there's a scratch on your back, or perhaps uncomfortable shoes. Maybe if you've been walking around in shoes that don't really fit or aren't very comfortable, it's like taking them off. Okay, so we've done large elephants. Now let's go across to very tall animals in the Mara with Isaac, where one is just learning about growing up.
Well, this is the same guy we saw earlier trying to find the mother, and he's finally had a drink. That is the mother, and he might drink again. Mom doesn't want him to drink anymore. He looks very big, but to a giraffe, that's how big they can look. He's only about 6 months old, so he's very dependent on his mother's milk. I think he should try a different angle because it's too difficult at that angle, and Mommy doesn't want him to drink for some reason. Maybe he's taken all the milk. By the looks, when we saw all of them together, which we are going to show you shortly, it looked like this was a nursery. There were about 4 young ones, and female giraffes do form what we call a crèche, or in another name, a nursery, where they give birth almost at the same time, and so they can take care of each other's young. They will not cross-circle, but they will take duties. The females will hide the young ones somewhere, and one female will remain with all the young ones, while the others move further a distance to browse, and then when they've had their fill, they'll come and circle every couple of hours, and then another one will take duty, and the one that was on duty will go also to graze. And after grazing, they will try and find water. Remember, they don't need to drink every day. Giraffes can go up to 2 weeks without drinking. They get a lot of their water from the leaves they eat. Giraffe girl, did you ask and say how they control the giraffe tail? I don't know what you mean, but they use it. You know, if it's a tail, yes, they do control their tails. It's controlled by their brain and nerves, and so they can use it. You know, they use it to clean, to swap insects that come, you know, in between the legs, above the rump, and on the sides of their legs. As you can see, there is one over there, and we'll focus on the tail, and you'll see how they use it. There is actually that one there. You see the tail, how they're switching it. If a tick tries to stick in between their legs, they'll swat it. Flies, so they do use it. You see that? It's a very important part of a giraffe because it does help. You can say there's something irritating there, and without the tail, whatever is irritating him will continue disturbing them, which might force her to go into the bushes. There is another one coming up. You can tell, I would say this is... look at what is happening here. He's having a stretch of his neck. Let's take you back to Tristan with some tiny little hoglets. Tristan, back to you.
Fuck up that. Well, you've just caught the back end of cuteness overload. There was a few little warthog piglets that were having the best game, running around all over the place, chasing each other, while Mom was having a little mud wallow. I was saying that a lot of the animals will do it, and so the little piglets were having a good game. Now, I'm going to try to see if we can get a better view of them. They went down a little bank there, unfortunately for us, but they were running up and down and round, chasing each other all over the place. The problem is warthogs can sometimes be a little bit shy, and when they see cars, they sometimes kind of try and move away. It's because they often associate cars with things like danger, because we follow things like leopards and lions. They go after warthogs quite often, but I'm hoping that these warthogs will be nice to us and won't run away, because they are very cute when they're little. Where are the little ones? There they are. Let's see if they're still ready to play their game, because they were chasing each other around. Now, it's two different moms that we've got here, so they've all got piglets of their own, but unfortunately, there they go. They're running away, so tails up in the air as they run off after Mom to make sure that they stay nice and safe. And the reason why they'll put their tail in the air like that is so that the little babies can follow them as they run, and then the babies just copy the mothers, and so that's why you see that kind of same motion. Hold on, Seb. I think we might be able to get one more view of these guys. Unfortunately, it's the moms that are very kind of nervous. The little ones themselves aren't too bad. It's just the moms that are shy. And like I say, rightly so, because often we follow leopards, and leopards love warthogs, particularly little baby warthogs. They'll often go hunting and trying to catch little baby warthogs. In fact, this week, we saw a leopard kill a baby warthog, and so they have to be very careful, and they get very nervous about their little ones being around. But hopefully she's going to stay still. There we go. Aren't they cute? So these little ones probably were born in around sort of November, December, somewhere there. So they are not very old, maybe a little bit before that, actually, maybe even kind of beginning of November, and so they're not very old at all, and they are very cute indeed, Kirsty. They're one of the cutest little animals out here, and like I say, especially when they trot along, but the problem is because they're so small, they're very vulnerable, and that means that they get hunted a lot by all kinds of different animals, from, like I say, lion and leopard to pythons and eagles and all the things. Lisa, you say you love that mohawk? The mohawk is quite cool. It's vitally important for them because it allows them to stay camouflaged in longer grass. So particularly the little ones, the mohawk almost resembles grass kind of, and helps that camouflage pattern happen, and it allows them to stay a little bit more hidden. Unfortunately, this time of the year, the grass hasn't grown just yet. Our rains were very late, and that means that we haven't had kind of good grass growth just yet, but it will happen eventually. And I think that one's going to go to the toilet, much like our buffalo. It looks like it's prepping to do the same. Anyway, they're disappearing out of shot, so we're going to leave them there. We'll just go do a quick loop around the waterhole behind us, just to see if there's any sign of anything else that's lurking around. On seen lots of different animals around water in this heat. As we've seen, the elephants went to water, buffalo were at water, these warthogs as well. So it's an area where a lot of different animals will inhabit in order to try and just kind of get away from this heat. I know Seb and I wouldn't mind being in the water ourselves. It's a good day to be in a swimming pool. If you had a swimming pool out here, I suppose for the animals, these are the swimming pools, these natural water holes that we've got. It's very, very sticky. So, child of the universe, yes, tourists will go out in this weather that come on safari. It's not very comfortable, and some might choose not to and to go out a little bit later. And it's all right when you're driving. When you're driving like this, you get a little bit of a wind and it's okay. But it's as soon as you stop, the air just feels as though it's been soaked in boiling water, or it has been boiling water and then wrapped around you. That's how hot it feels. And so, you know, you've got to make sure that you take on a lot of water, because you do sweat a lot. And generally, the problem with going out early is that there's a lot of the animals are not very active. They're just trying to do much like what we would do, is try and just stay as cool as possible until the night comes. Once the night comes, it will cool down quite a bit, and then it becomes a lot easier for the animals to kind of walk around and move around and be active. Now, there's some big clouds that are building in the distance, which I was saying earlier, this humidity might signal rain. And so you can see there on our eastern horizon are some big cumulonimbus clouds that are starting to build. And so those are a sign of rain. Those are big thunderstorm clouds, which will have lightning and thunder, and you'll have quite a bit of rain that comes out of those. Now, whether they hit us, obviously, is anyone's guess, but they are starting to build, and those are the biggest clouds we've seen in the last couple of days. And so I wouldn't be surprised if at some point tonight we got some rain somewhere in this area. It's kind of been building for the last 2 days, and so I wouldn't be surprised at all. Still far away though, and still got a lot of work to do, but in this heat that will build quite fast. There'll be a lot of evaporation, and if there's a bit of cooler air up there, it will condense quite fast. Now, also one thing I wanted to show you guys is when you come to water, there's something else that we see down here. And so in the tree to my right, there's going to be two things that you're going to see. There we go. So you've got the white things, which look almost like sort of foam, and they essentially, it is foam. It's from a frog, funnily enough, called a foam nest tree frog. And foam nest tree frogs, the female and the males will both participate in that whole process. And basically all it is a casing for where they lay their eggs. And so the frogs will lay their eggs inside there. The little tadpoles can hatch inside it, and it's a very moist environment for the tadpoles to survive, and they can develop a little bit before they then get too heavy for that foam, and the foam starts to out, and then they drop into the water. But they're already at a more advanced stage than a lot of the other tadpoles, and so it's easier for them to get away from predators, or that's the theory. Now, there's another nest within that tree as well that's a little bit more brown, so right in the middle of the tree, there it is over there, and that's not from frogs, that's from a bird called a weaver, and you might see it bouncing back and forth. I saw it just now, and it looked like a village weaver that was going in there. And the village weavers will build nests very often over water. They like to nest over water. So very common to see that. And the theory behind nesting in a tree that's surrounded by water is that it's much harder for certain predators to get there. So it kind of tries to keep their nest a little bit safer. The problem is things like snakes and lizards can often swim, and they'll try and go towards those weaver nests and actually get in there. But I don't know where the weaver went. It was sitting there, and it's now flown away, unfortunately. Such a beautiful afternoon. Other than the heat, it's a very, very pretty afternoon. Something moving around in the water. I just want to see if I can see what it is. I think it's just tadpoles that potentially are moving. So if you look on the edge of the water closest to us, there we go. You see lots of little ripples, and those could be little tadpoles on the surface of the water that are making all those ripples. When there's lots and lots of tadpoles together, you'll often see that kind of movement on the surface of water. Good, we're going to carry on. We're going to see what else we can find. We might go check a couple of other water holes. In the meantime, though, we're going to send you to go and have a look at some more big grey elephants.
Hello everybody and welcome to this end of the Masai Mara. We're a lot further south than Isaac is, and we're sitting with a beautiful herd of elephants grazing in the plains. Look how much space there is there. Isn't that wonderful? My name is James Henry. It's lovely to have you with us for this Nat Geo Kids show. We will enjoy these elephants for a little while, and then we'll probably head down south to see if we can catch up with the sausage tree pride, very famous pride of lions. There's some little elephants, and it's all very, very peaceful. Let me be quiet for a second, or a little bit more than a second, and you'll see how quiet and peaceful it is here. Isn't that lovely? All you can hear is the woodland rustling in the grass. You can just see those elephants flapping their ears gently. Such a lovely indication, I suppose, of the warmth of the day. They use those ears to cool down. Ooh, and one of them is talking to the others. Let's quickly go across there. Very upset elephant there. Now she's upset because a car full of people has just driven past. Now she's calmed down. I think there's a problem with my audio. Kirst, are you still hearing me? Sorry everybody, I'm just trying to sort something out here. Okay. Righty. So, they're going to move down away from the sound of those people in the cars. Sometimes they don't mind cars, sometimes they do. And often they don't like the sound of people's voices. So that's a youngish cow. I would say she's about 25 years old. And she's obviously quite a nervous character. All elephants, just like all humans, will have slightly different characters from each other. And so while some will be not nervous, they'll be very confident around vehicles and people, some will be very nervous. And then there's a much larger one coming the other side of the road there. They're all pretty relaxed. Eating grass, and they'll also be eating seedlings of trees such as the caper bush that grows in amongst the grass here. Very nutritious, quite thorny, not very nice for us to pick. But they'll be eating those too. And in fact, much of the grassland that you can see there is free of trees because of the elephants. There are lots and lots of elephants in this area. Mr. Anomaly, yes, absolutely, this is inside a reserve. This is the Masai Mara. We're in a section of the Masai Mara known as the Mara Triangle. Across the Mara River, we've got the Masai Mara National Reserve, and then down to the south of us, we have the Serengeti, and it's all part of one giant ecosystem of about 20,000 square kilometers or so, which is about 2 million hectares, which, if you multiply it by 2.5, gets you to roughly 5 million acres. That's the size of the area we're in. But even that area itself is not bounded by fences, which means that although it's officially that size, it's actually a lot larger, or the space for that the animals are able to roam is a lot larger than that. So this reserve straddles an international boundary between Kenya and Tanzania. The Mara is in Kenya and the Serengeti is in Tanzania. See you just blowing the dust there, isn't that lovely? I know that you saw an elephant blowing dust and throwing dust on herself in South Africa a little bit earlier. They're not doing it so much here because it's much cooler. The temperature's probably only at the moment about 82 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe even a little bit less. You see beautiful colours there. All the time, these elephants talking to each other. We can't hear it most of the time. It's much, the frequency is too low for us to hear. That doesn't mean it's too soft in terms of loudness. It means that the tone of their voice boxes is too low for us to hear. So if you think about a piano, for example, and you go to the very bottom note, you can still hear that note. You can't sing it. It's much too low for you to sing. But imagine adding another piano onto that one on the left-hand side and then playing the bottom note there. You wouldn't be able to hear it. It would just be too low. That's called infrasound, is the sound that they use to communicate. All right, we're going to carry on now. We're going to find those lions, the sausage tree pride, very famous pride of lions. It's not good. Alrighty, we're going to go across to Jamie. We've got a small problem with our sound here.
Alrighty, we're just about to get to these lions. Give me 1 second and I will just show them to you. Thanks, Pat. I'm going to make my way in. Awesome. Yay. Lions lying in the road. Let's have a look-see. Here we go. They're coming out towards us. I'm just going to stop here. There we go. Let's just see if they're going to keep walking towards us or if they're going to continue lying up in the shade. Now, you will notice that there is another vehicle in the sighting with us. So that over there, those are our trainees. Out and about. There's Patrick. He's the one who told us that the lions were here and has been helping us out to find them. So a big thank you to him. They're now resting up in the shade. The rest of them are walking towards us though, so I'm going to stick where we are for now and just see where they decide to go. There's a good chance they could come and lie in the shade right in front of us. So this particular pride is known as the Nkuhuma pride, which is a local word for a type of tree known as an ivory tree. So they're called the Nkuhuma pride apparently because they were often seen lying in the shade of this particular type of tree. Are you coming this way, guys, or not? Now it consists, in theory, of 10 lionesses and 1 young male, and 5 of those females are quite young still. But I say in theory because there's been strange things happening with this particular pride of lions. Now remember, keep sending through your questions at Nat Geo Kids at wildearth.tv. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, let's move forward because it looks like they've stopped for now. So let me go a little bit closer. We'll edge up. I think they're going to go lie. They're very, very hungry. You can see some empty bellies. Now, as we stop here, Crazy Legs, you want to know if the lions are far away from the buffalo that Tristan had earlier. Well, I mean, for right now, yes. They're probably around about 1.5 miles away from where those buffalo are. But in lion terms, that is not very far at all. So it's lions, we always, well, we don't, but a lot of people always term lions lazy because they do spend quite a lot of their time sleeping. But in reality, when it comes to searching for food or when it comes to moving around, they'll often cover enormous amounts of ground in order to find themselves food, perhaps patrol their territories. So it's not far at all for these lions. I've followed lions that have covered maybe 20 odd kilometers at a time, possibly even 20 miles at a time when they're on the search for something. So it's not far at all for them. And it could be exactly what they need. It's a lot of lions here, very much in need of a very big meal to keep them all fed. Something like a giraffe or buffalo would be ideal, because if it were just an antelope, they would not get very much food at all. It would not be enough to sustain them. Right now, though, they're probably not going to hunt unless something were to walk straight towards them, because they are just so hot. They're panting away. I fully sympathize. The sun has come out. We thought there was going to be rain earlier, but it's blown away, and we now have bright, burning sunshine. And for them, they of course can't sweat. So panting like that is a way of cooling down. Giraffe girl, you want to know how many of the Nkuhumas are here? Well, I can only see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lions at the moment, but apparently there are more lying off in the shade in the bush. Now, because it's summer, of course, it's very, very thick. So I can't give you an accurate head count yet, and I'm not going to go driving around too much into the bush just yet. We don't need to. We've got a nice clear view of them from where we are. So we'll sit it out and we'll wait and see if the rest of them move out into the shade here. The last time I saw them, I originally counted 10, and then when I went back that afternoon, I counted only 9, including 1 Mangeni male and 1 Talamati male. But that was when the females were still mating with the evokers. So that would account for some of the missing members. I don't know how many are here now. It's been a little bit difficult keeping track of the Nkuhumas at this point in time because so much is happening with their dynamics and with the arrival of new males. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with lions, you might be wondering, well, where are the big males? Because I said there's a pride of lions. Remember that a lion pride consists of females. In theory, the basic unit of a lion pride consists of females and their offspring, so their sons and their daughters. And with their sons, it's usually only up until around about 3 years old, at which point the males move away and the females have a new set of cubs. The males actually don't live with the pride. They're not part of the pride. They have a territory and they come and they visit the females, especially when the females have food, because it means that they get a meal as well. But they're not part of the pride, so they're not always with them. And they'll actually spend time with a couple of different prides that are within their territories. So that's why we don't see males often with a group of females like this. There are young males in this pride, one of which is theirs, a very young boy, and then there's 2 who seem to have just latched on and decided to stay for a little bit. Whew. I see. It must be very, very hot being a lion right now. Big, thick, furry coats. I imagine that for the male lions it's even worse because, of course, they've got thick manes. It must be like wearing a headscarf in the blistering heat. A thick scarf and a beanie. Now, Lily, you want to know if lions can get heat stroke like people. Yes, potentially. not from just sitting lying down like this, but if they were to chase something now, they would need to stop and rest very quickly because it is so hot. And lions are not, they're mammals, so they can control their body temperatures. Oh, they're going to walk right past us. How nice. Or are you? They can control their body temperatures, but they are not very good at cooling down. So they cannot really, they struggle if their body temperature goes up higher than about 1 degree Celsius. They are going to walk right past us. Hello, hungry ladies. It's always an awesome, awesome feeling when they do this. Sure. There's a female with quite a bad injury on her hip. It's looking much better now. Isn't that awesome? See how comfortable they feel with us, that they are happy to stop right next to us, walk right past us, and then stop behind us. That's what makes doing this job so special, is the fact that these cats are comfortable enough with us to do this. Oh, there's a nice breeze. Now, for these cats to be moving in these sorts of temperatures means they're either very thirsty or they're also very, and I can see they're very, very hungry. So I can judge that just by looking at the prominence of their hip bones and the emptiness of their stomachs. There's some of the older females gathering together, the more experienced females. They're the ones who've made this decision to start moving. There's the Mangeni male. I had a feeling he was here, looking so much better. He's been very, very ill. He now looks almost like a lion again. Here's the young male coming past us. And we've got one more coming across. One of the youngsters, the one that had the injured leg. She's looking much better. There she goes. Very cool. Sure. For them to be moving right now, they are very, very interested in finding something to eat. Okay. While they move on, I'm just going to wait for 1 second. That lion's going to move, and then I'll start the vehicle. I don't want to start the vehicle with the lion right behind us because it's going to get a bit of a fright. Okay, so while we do that and while we catch up with them, apparently it's not just myself who's managed to find lions. If you travel all the way up to Kenya, you'll find Isaac has got some as well.
Here we've found the Olololo pride. Unlike the sausage tree pride that we saw this morning, these guys are starving. I don't know why they haven't eaten, because there's a lot of game around here, but who am I to judge them? They haven't eaten. We just seen one male. He looks like he's walking on high heels. He's so thin, but he's gone behind the bushes. We cannot see him. Over there, if you see that, those are a few more. That's a game drive vehicle coming. When they see us, they normally know there's something. All of them are lying in the shade, and I'm sure they're waiting for the evening to come, then they'll find something. It looks like they haven't eaten for quite a long time, and it's quite serious because the female with the 3 cubs hasn't gone back to the cubs for about 2 days, and if she doesn't go tonight, then it's going to be very bad for the cubs. Over here, they're all very sleepy. I think they were quite alert during the day trying to find something. Then they decided to save the energy and hope in the night they will get something. The grass is very high, so all the grazers have moved to the high, shorter ground in the high areas. Like right around camp, we have lots of giraffe, lots of zebra, and that's why these guys are starving. It is not easy for the lions, always, as everybody perceives. it is very hard. And in this case, you can tell these guys they haven't eaten for at least 7 or 8 days. If they go for another 2 days, it could be serious consequences for the younger ones, because wherever they go, if it's too small, then the older ones will have to dominate it and take over because they will want to continue living. So right now, it's quite serious situation. I'm hoping, they will, get up and go start looking for something. You look at this female, you can tell her, tummy is she hasn't eaten at all. Usually, when they have eaten, you tell that, they are panting more, and also they will be hiding. You can tell this female, she hasn't eaten at all. It's rather not one of those sights that you'll want to see always. Hello. Checking who's around. Back to sleep. It is not easy, and also it is not very good. Mr. and Mrs. McDonald, you asked a question. I'll ask Kirsty to repeat it to me, please. I did hear the name, but I didn't hear the question. They continue resting. They rest for up to 16, 18 hours a day. They don't need to really do much in the heat of the day. Kirsty, I didn't hear you. Please repeat the name, the question by Mr. and Mrs. McDonald, please. Or did I hear it? Is it how tall are the lions? I think a fully grown lion can stand about 4 feet tall. That's a fully grown lion. And length from tail to head to nose, it can be up to 5 feet and can weigh up to 250 kilos. That's a fully grown male. These ones here, I would say they are females, and at the moment they are weighing around 120 kilos only. Behind there, you can see the forest. That is the Mara River. That's the main river that divides the side of the Mara Triangle and the other side of the reserve. The hills farthest are called Ngama Hills. The other hills that divide the Mara and human habitated areas, they are the border to the east. And then the hill, they stretch all the way down to the Serengeti, ending at a place called Koka. That's where the boundary is. The trees very close to us are fig trees behind the line there. This area here, you can tell the grass is much shorter, and that's why, they've come here hoping to find something, but they haven't found something. They're fast asleep, and I don't know for how much longer. Usually at this time, they'll start getting up, looking around, hoping to see what they're going to go for during the night. And I'm hoping, they can do that so we can see in the next few hours, or maybe tomorrow morning when we come, if they've done something. Although they are this fast asleep, it doesn't mean that they won't do anything. They can move from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. Okay, I'll link you back to Tristan. I don't know what's going on with him, but we'll stay here with the lions. Tristan?
Well, as you can see, we have managed to find a last-minute leopard for our kids' safari this afternoon. They're sitting in the thicket and the shade is little Hosanna, and he is struggling with heat at the moment. He is really trying to find some semblance of shade and is breathing very, very, very quickly, and that panting is just purely to try and cool his body down as much as possible. The good news is a bit of a wet has come out. Right, but unfortunately it is that time though that we need to start saying goodbye. It was a brief, quick view of our male leopard who is hidden in the shade. But from all of us, I hope you enjoyed your safari this afternoon, and we'll see you all next Saturday at the same time for another safari.